Hey guys, it's Casey. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you my fail-safe house paint pouring medium. This is Glidden Premium in semi-gloss in a base 3. Okay, you get this at Home Depot. What you're going to do is you're going to open your can up. Once you get your can opened up, you want to mix it by hand. You do not want them to shake this at the store. Do not let them shake your can. It will incorporate too many bubbles and you'll be waiting forever for them bubbles to go away. So mix it by hand at home. Get you a handful of their paint sticks, take them home, mix it by hand when you get it. Every time you open this can, you want to remix it. But once you get it all incorporated good and you feel like it's all incorporated well together, we're going to measure out 3 parts of the Glidden Premium into a separate cup. See, I found a chunk of dried paint that was inside the can, and I wanted to go ahead and get that out of there. If you run across that, I always pull that out. That way it doesn't continue to dry inside the can and give you issues later. So what you want to do, you want to scrape the outsides of your cup once you dip it in, and just get an even amount of the paint into the separate cup. And you want to do three parts. So that means scrape the top, scrape the sides, scrape the bottom, get any excess off of there. You want 3 equal parts. This is really, really simple, guys. This pouring medium is a godsend for those who struggle with the house paint recipe. It holds cells amazing. It dries amazing. The only issue I have with it is it has a bit too much white in it and it's a bit thick. But getting used to the house paint recipe, this is a go-to. This was my back to basics for me. This is where I really began at ages ago, years ago. But you want to mix 3 parts of it with 1 part polyurethane. My choice is to use the bare polyurethane. You can use Valspar, or not Valspar, but Varathane. You can use the Varathane, but don't get the triple thick. It's got to be a polyurethane that is thin. It cannot be a thick polyurethane. You do not want to grab the Minwax 1 coat. That will thicken your paints, and this is already a very thick pouring medium. You do not want that. So 1 part of the bare polyurethane goes in, and literally this is it. This is your pouring medium now. You got 1 part bare polyurethane to 3 parts of the Glidden. The Glidden is going to be your paint base, and then you got bare for polyurethane, and that's just to help thin the paints and kind of give it a sheen. But this is the perfect pouring medium, house paint pouring medium, and that's because it is pretty much fail-safe. I have had 0 issues with cracks, with grazing, with any of the things that I was fighting before I went back to this recipe, and I'm so glad I did. Now, I do know it's a little thicker, and it does have a little bit more white in it. And those are 2 negatives for me. But getting back to where I started is where I needed to be. So I could get used to the mix of the recipe. So I could get used to the flow of it again. So I can control myself a little more. I feel like this is a great beginner's start. Now, I've mixed all my paints with that recipe. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pour a piece. I'm just going to do a tile. I wanted to show you guys what this stuff looks like dry, how well it holds cells. I am using a different cell activator today. My cell activator is going to be made with Wagner Paint Easy. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It's something you can buy on Amazon. It's a paint conditioner, just like Floetrol and Australian Floetrol. but it is as thin as water. You have to mix it at a 1-to-1 ratio. But it makes gorgeous sails, as you're going to see here in a few minutes. Uh, I'll show you a shot of the sail activator I'm using as well here in a minute after I get all my paints layered here. The way I'm layering my paints is just I put down a color and then a color on top of it that I felt like was going to pop against that color. Now this is it right here, the Paint Easy. It's $10 on Amazon here in the States. And you mix it at a 1-to-1 ratio with your acrylic paint. And look at the cells popping up already. It it gives you a different cell pattern than the Australian Floetrol. Um, you get different looking cells, but they are gorgeous cells. You're going to see here in a few minutes how great this cell activator really is. Um, like I said, it gives you a different cell pattern than Australian Floetrol does. But you get gorgeous, glorious cells. I've got so much paint on here. I didn't need this much paint. But I always overdo it on the amount of paint I put on my canvas. I'd rather have too much than not enough. And I'm just going around the edges with my tool and picking it up and putting it off into another cup, my waste cup. And I'll do that a couple different times. I'll spin it out, and then to keep my cells from distorting, I go around and I pick up that excess paint. And that's what I'm going to do all the way to the end. I'm just going to keep going around and picking up that excess paint and pulling it off there so my cells don't distort. And it's almost done here, guys. I mean, it's spun out just as much as it's going to spin out. I'm going to spin it a couple more times, but it's really not going to do too much more. And it's looking absolutely phenomenal. This pouring medium is a godsend for me right now because I'm trying to get back to basics. I'm trying to learn again because it's been so many years since I painted. Poured. I've painted many times over the last few years, but I haven't poured anything. And here we are. Look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? Look at all the cells. Do you see what I mean? It's a different type of cells. And this is the dried results here, guys. It is absolutely phenomenal. It's next level. I love the cell patterns. I love the colors. It's a beautiful pouring medium. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for joining me. I love this piece. We will see you next Friday on Friday with Friends. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a blessed day.